Hi guys, and welcome to another Divi video. This is Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Well, today we've got three little boxes here. When we hover over, we can have a little button pop up. This is really easy to do. There's no coding involved in this today. And it's a nice little feature to have on your site. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is enable the Visual Builder. Okay, let's go down and we'll add a new row. Little green button for a new row, blue button for a section, dark for a module. I'm going to add 3 columns. And I'm just going to use a text module for the top bit of this today. So I'm going to go down, hit the text module right there. Divi comes as standard with all these modules, plenty enough to build just about any sort of site. If you've got WooCommerce installed, it'll also give you a dozen or so extra modules to display your products with. Obviously, put what you want right here. I'm going to add a little title to mine today. Let's see, we've got question 1, 2, 3. Let's call this question 4. I'm going to make that into a heading 2. There we go. Great. Design wise, I'm just going to pop this all in the middle here. Fantastic. And I'm going to give it a bit of padding around the sides like I've got above here. I'm going to use 25 pixels all around for this. So I'm going to go down to spacing, still on the design tab. I'm going to put 25 in. It'll put the pixels in for you. Just hit the chain. It'll do the opposite side. Same for left and right. Okay, well, let's add a little background color to our column here so we've got everything in a nice neat little box. So I'm going to go into the row, green tab for the row. We're working on column 1 here. Here's column 1. Let's just add a background color. Let's have a slightly different one this time. And I'm going to pull the opacity down a bit. Opacity is transparency or see-throughness. Get it to the color that you want it there. That's fine. Great. Okay, well, now let's add a button just underneath our little column here. So I'm going to add a new module with a little button right here. I'm not going to use a button module. I'm actually going to use a call to action for the spacing properties of it. I don't want a title in there. Button can say whatever you want it to right there. If I roll down a bit, you won't see a button appear until we put a link in for it. And I don't want any content there. I just want the actual button itself. And you may wonder why didn't we use this before? It's because of the hover effect we're going to actually make for it. So let's go in and put a link in for the button. Button link URL right here. I'm going to put a hashtag in as a placeholder there. Always best practice, if you're linking to your own site, keep it in the same window. If you're linking off-site, open it in a new tab. If you want them to be able to link with the whole module, that's this pink looking module down here, you can put another link in here. You can have 2 separate links, one for the button and one for the module if you want to. Same best practices apply. I'm going to get rid of that background color because I want it all to be under our little blue background color we got going on there. So I'm going to go into background. We're still in the call to action under the content here. I'm just going to hit the trash can to remove that color. Great. Okay, what I actually want, let's put a color back in here so we can see what's going on. So let's just put a red in there for instance. I'm going to take the opacity down a little bit so we can see what's behind it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add enough padding to the top of this button so that we can cover our question 4 and the content there, and that the buttons are going to stay down below here. And the reason I need that padding up here, we need to, anywhere we go over this module, I want it to trigger the button. I want the button to pop up. If I leave it as it is, it'll only pop up when we trigger over this area down here. So I'm going to go to my design, enter the spacing, and the padding on the top, I'm guessing that's about 300 pixels, maybe 250. Let's add 250 to the top. which has pushed it down here. Now let's slide it all back up so the red bit covers our question 4 and the content there. And I'm going to do that with negative margin. So I'm going to flip down to -1. Let's bring it up by 250. I think I'll need a bit more than that. So -250 will bring it up by 250. Yeah, it looks like I need about an extra 50 or so on there. Let's try 300. Yeah, that's going to work absolutely fine. We can take that background color away now so we don't actually get to see it, which is fine, so it won't overflow and look like that. So let's go back to our content now, back to the background. Take that color away. Great. Obviously, if you want to, you can style your button however you want to. Over in the design tab, down the button, flip this on if you want to style it. Let's give it a crazy color. Let's make the button text color white, which it is already. We'll make the background color blue perhaps. There we go, that's going to stand out nicely, isn't it? Okay, well here comes the fun bit. Now let's make it disappear, and we only want it to appear when we actually hover over our module here. To do that, again, no coding, I'm going to close out the button. I'm going to go down to filters. Here we go, here's filters. Let's click on that one. We can roll down until we find opacity there. And I don't want to see it at all initially, so I'm going to pull the opacity all the way down to 0. And as you can see, or as you can't see, it's disappeared there. Then when we hover anywhere over our module here, because remember our padding's covering this, so it should trigger it, I want to bring it back. Now, common to most Divi modules, if you hover over the dark writing there, you'll see some icons appear. Go to the element you want to affect. In our case, it's opacity here. There's a little arrow there. There it is. We can set a desktop state, which is when your mouse is not on it, and a hover state, which obviously is when your mouse is on it. So when we hover over it, I want the opacity to be up 100%, because you can have different entries for desktop and hover. So there we have it. When we're not hovering over it, it's going to be gone. When we are hovering over it, it's going to be there. Great. So let's set that back to the desktop state. Now the time it takes to get from desktop to hover state with Divi by default is 300 milliseconds, which is pretty quick. If you want to keep that, it's fine, stop right here. But if you don't, you can go down to transitions under advanced. We're still in our call to action. And you can change the timing here. Take it up to maybe half a second, something like that. Don't want any delay. Speed curve I tend to use for my hover effects is ease in, ease out. They're all slightly different. Some will give you better results in certain situations than others. Ease in and ease out tends to work for me. Okay, well let's save our changes here. Let's exit the Visual Builder. And there's our little box right there. When we hover anywhere over it, that button's going to appear, as you see. So one other thing you might want to do, obviously my questions are all the same size right here purely because I've got the same text in there. If you had different questions, you'd probably have different amounts of text. So we can ensure our boxes all stay the same size by giving this a fixed height. So let's do that. Let's enable the Visual Builder. Now because I've used some negative positioning to pull this one up over the top of the text module behind, I think we're okay with this one. Let's have a look. No, that's the call to action. Sometimes you're going to have trouble getting to the module that's below. If you experience that, we can hit the little purple button here. Go to the wireframe mode or back end mode, little icon down here to the left. And there it is. Now I'm just going to clone that one. And I'm going to clone the button. And I'm going to do it one more time. And while I'm in here, I may as well put colored backgrounds in all of these. So instead of going into them all, I'm just going to right click on our first column that's got that background. I'm going to extend the item styles to this whole row right here. That way they should all have the same coloured background. If I flip back to desktop mode now, there we go, we got 3 of them all with the same coloured background there. And what we can actually do is, let's go back to wireframe mode and get back into our top ones here. We can give our top ones, once we're in there, let's flip back again, we can give our top ones a fixed height. Let's go in here, we'll go down to sizing, let's go to minimum height here. If I roll down a bit so you can see what's going on. If we pull our minimum height down, as you can see it's stretched all the way down there. Pull it back down to about where you want it. So I'm going to put it the same as our others there, which is 248. 248 seems to work for them all, so let's save that. And I'm going to copy it into our other modules there. I'm going to flip back to wireframe style. I'm going to close this one. We're going to go into our next one, design, minimum height, which will be under sizing here. I'm going to paste that value in that one. And while we're in here, let's take some of that content away. And we'll do the same for the third one. Take some of that content away. Go to our design, to our sizing, minimum height. And paste the same value in there. Now let's save this. If we go back to our front end, you can see they've got different amounts of text in them, but they've all remained the same height, and our button's going to come in at the same place there. So let's save our changes here. Take another look at the front end. There we go, we got some varying different questions there. If we hover over, our button's going to appear. And then when we let go, the button's going to disappear. So there you go, guys. There's how to add a button on hover using the great Divi theme. That's a nice little feature to have on your site there. So I hope you've enjoyed this today and found it useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, comment, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Once again, this has been Jamie from System22 and webdesignandtechtips.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.